It's an uncomfortable, stretching feeling, like occupying two worlds at once. And I don't have enough capacity to occupy two worlds at once. And because of that, there's an impending sense of grief, a non-specific grief, that one of these worlds is ending. And I don't know which one it is, and I don't know where to put my feet. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Anne Headley, and this is my podcast, What is Going On Anyway?, where I take some time every couple of weeks to check in intuitively, imaginally, and creatively with the new or full moon, and I share my take with you. I use my imagination and intuition together to tell a story by surfing the present moment and sharing it with you. My experience of this sharing is something like a hybrid of imagination and inspiration, and I think it's possibly a very good way to brainstorm for the future. I hope this encourages you to look for your own waves of presence that fuel inspiration, intuition, and courage. Ultimately, I hope this becomes an internal revolution of self-worth for myself and others, which I believe is necessary to usher us into the future collaboration of being here together. I'm especially interested in my own experience of spirituality and talking to other people about theirs, and the question, what are we here for? What is the meaning of life? This is a podcast for intuitives and the intuitively curious. This is for folks who value personal spiritual experiences and ask questions about why we are here and the meaning of life, despite simultaneously knowing these are unresolvable queries. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me, and I really love it when you reach out to me after listening or maybe sometimes mid-listen to throw ideas and questions and wonderings my way. Please do reach out. Please share this podcast widely. I know some of you already do, and I love it when I see that my podcast followers have gone up. It's a reminder every month that you're here, that you're listening, and that even this small offering matters. Good morning. Whatever time you're listening to this, I want to say good morning to this new moon. And there's an eclipse. I very deliberately did not listen to anyone who is out there like me saying, this is what this is all about. I didn't want to be influenced by this one. I just wanted to sit with, or I want to still sit with my feeling right now, which is very uncomfortable. So I'm just here saying, if this is an uncomfortable moment for you, you're not alone. It's a non-specific, like I said before, grief, also sense of doom. And I'm only laughing because it's like weird to say that. And as I look around, we're in this beautiful moment where the zinnias are blooming. It takes a long time for me. I start my zinnias from seed and plant them, and now they're finally blooming. So those of you in more southerly locations, your zinnias have been blooming for a while, but not me. They're just now doing their full force blooming. The monarchs have laid their eggs, and there are baby caterpillars in different stages. So cute on this patch of milkweed that we've let really fill a whole flower bed. My perennial flower bed is now full of milkweed and baby monarchs. And so that's what's going on outside, and it's lovely, and the sunflowers are blooming, and the tomatoes are starting to ripen. And I also at the same time simultaneously feel kind of this deep sadness that I can point to specific sad things around me, but I can't locate as the cause of this sadness. And this new moon, I think, is about a new beginning that starts out of the ashes of the things that must be let go of. So we have new moon and solar eclipse happening in the world today. And I'm wondering about this eclipse being a little bit like being in an elevator in a very large theater. I always love to use these theater references, I'm noticing. And you are going to get to see the backstage workings of some aspect of this theater. And it's not necessarily going to make sense, but imagine you're in an elevator and the eclipse is like, da 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 da, bing. And the doors open and you get to see the inner workings, the behind the scenes of a play that's going on the other side. So maybe you would understand it if you could see it from the audience perspective, but you're back here seeing something that maybe won't make sense for a long time. That's what I'm wondering, thinking about, that the eclipse offers us insight, not clarity, but insight. So could we be open to receiving whatever comes and let it be what it is? You can hear wise people tell you, when someone tells you the truth, believe them. And a lot of times we have our own dramas and worlds and systems of understanding the world that we cannot believe the truth that's right in front of our eyes. It takes a series of layers of understanding until we can really notice what is, and truth is subjective, but that we can believe what we hear or believe what we see. Sometimes it takes a while. So this does not feel like a moment of incredible clarity, but it does feel like a moment where maybe you would write a few things down, write down your dreams, write down what you're noticing, and let that be something that you might come back to later that helps you understand the larger picture. And you might also take this moment. I feel like this new moons are these beautiful beginnings, but when there's an eclipse smack on top of it, it's a good time to stay close with your own self, thoughts, feelings, and sensitivities. This might be a moment to go back and maybe, I don't know if I agree with this. I don't know if I agree with my own self. I want to say you might, if you're somebody like me that keeps journals or records or diaries, or you can, maybe sometimes you write in your calendar, just use that like you would with an oracle and go back and grab one entry somewhere and let that inform you of this moment now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my own advice. Just a sec. I'm going to go grab a journal and use it like an oracle right now. Oh, I might not recommend this. That was quite a rabbit hole. I pulled out, actually, it was a calendar that I had written in the back of. I wanted to put it back, as I usually do when I declare something an oracle, but I didn't. And I found this entry. It's from the 13th of February, 1996. I had graduated from VCU in December. I was trying to figure out what to do. And this was immediately before, like I think I had maybe another month before I moved to New York City. I was working for Capital One as a temporary agent. I was working with a temp service. I think I was making, this sounds impossible, but I might have been making $8 an hour. Maybe I was making $13 an hour. That would have probably felt like a lot, but somewhere between 8, I'll even go 14, but I think that would have felt like a lot. I don't know, how it all worked with the temporary agency, what they billed me at. They must have billed me higher and I got less. That's all sort of beside the point. This is what I wrote. They keep reminding us, they being the people who are training us to do the work at Capital One. And I'm going to just say that as I walked, I don't know, I didn't work there longer than a month. But as you walk in the door, there was this number that was overhead. It was a digital counter, and it showed how much I think how much debt was owed to Capital One. Like, so when you looked at this number, you looked at all the people that were impoverished and in debt to Capital One, or maybe it was whatever their profit statement. I don't know what it was. It was a big number and it always kept going up. They keep reminding us that what we do is for the good of money, that the company is growth, throwing out words without explaining them. It's that the words are supposed to carry the weight. Money, profit, growth. They know they have to sell this to us because we are being used. We do the shitty work. We sell our souls to the devil. They must have a feel that they are doing this to us because they can't be simply examples for what we may want to become. They have to use the words to perk our greed. Sell the greed. Sell the greed. Incentives, extra money, tens of billions of dollars, and you can have your share. Poor people, we only want to feel a part of something good. We want to feel as though our lives have a purpose, but we are lost. So lost we would fall for anything. That's my report as someone who worked for Capital One. That was their business was the debt of others. And my job was to call people who were not paying their bill and get them to pay their bill. And it was heartbreaking. Actually, it was heartbreaking. I couldn't do this job. And I remember being there, and there was somebody who apparently was good at their job. And he, every day, I mean, I don't know if it was every day, but my memory was that he would stand, we were on our cubicles, and he would stand up in his cubicle and berate the person he was on the phone with. And I found myself in the opposite way. I often would do what I could to extend their payment plan or soften the blow of whatever this. It was really horrible. I didn't last very long there. I still don't have a good feeling about the company. And I do have a Discover card, which has just recently been taken over by Capital One, or there's some kind of merger, and I'm stuck with what to do about that. So now, in this moment, I'm thinking about, well, maybe it's time for me actually to put my money into banks that support the environment, or money completely into credit unions, or anyway. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you do that kind of thing, but that's something that's right on the edge for me. And the fact that I read that, and I have that really strong memory of working there and it being a place where I felt lucky to escape in some ways. Okay. So that's, I just followed my own advice and I don't like it one bit. But it does give me some idea of this moment when I think into the new. I'm looking at, well, geez, it's not just me staying with my own good feelings. It is primarily that, but it's also looking at the bigger concentric circles of support and the way I work with the world around me, and making sure that those continue to help me stay in my own self. This is what I talked about it with the full moon, staying with myself, not abandoning myself. I don't know about you, but when I get into, I'm sitting down, I'm looking at my numbers and my budgets and my bills, and I can get into a place where I'm like, not even in my head, I'm like way out there in almost a panic mode. And so can I do my finances and stay in that feeling of deep center ground and worthiness in my body? That's a trick. I don't know if it's a trick, but it's like a balancing act. I do have specific imagery to share with you. And this has been happening more and more when I come into the podcast space. It's like I get a window into dream space. And so this is what it looks like for this new moon. There is a cupboard that lives inside of you, inside of me. This is the cupboard of your dreams. I'd like you to walk over to the cupboard of your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations. These are different than the internal creative drive. And I think that matters. That as we get more grounded and centered, we can have a relationship with the internal creative drive. This cupboard holds, like my notebooks, it holds lists and thoughts and future ideas that we hope will connect to our internal drive. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So I'd like you to go to your cupboard of hopes, dreams, and aspirations and very gently open the doors and reach in. And there you will find a basket of aspirations. And with two hands, reach into that basket and scoop and take as many as you can with two hands and pull them close to yourself. Pull them close into your chest. And you will not be able to carry all of them. So you're just like, imagine it's a basket full of pom-poms or something. Like little pom-poms. And so you know that you're dropping some, or beads. That's a nice one. You're reaching in and you're just carrying as many beads as you can and you're holding them close to your chest, and some of them are falling away. And you're going to hold as many as you can and walk outside, walk away from the cabinet, walk outside, and you can do whatever you want to scatter these aspirations, release them and let them go. Maybe you just let go all at once, or maybe you throw them, or maybe they just fall out through your fingers like water. And let them go. You want these to scatter and be released because this right now isn't a moment for aspirations. This is a moment for receiving the moment. And we can get really distracted by aspirations holding. It's like we're investing our creative energy somewhere else, hoping that it will be a good match later. And right now we need to let them go, come back and return to our creative energy, because it's a real moment of having to render a new plan. And we need all of our investments to come home, basically. So that's like letting go. And what's really important to understand is that our hopes and dreams and aspirations are built with the structure of the world around us. So we have this creative drive. We want to express it because it's deeply satisfying and harmonizing to our being to be creatively engaged. And it doesn't have to look like the arts. Being creatively engaged is a way of being fully engaged in puzzling or solving something or using your facility in your body one way or another. Building, solving problems. I mean, there's just so many ways of exercising that drive. But we have the drive, and then we're trying to relate it to the world around us as we see the world around us. And what I'm saying is that we are creating new structures of the world around us, very much like I want to change the way I use money in the world. I want to have my money also match my passion, purpose, drive. And so like pulling back that journal as an oracle from when I worked for Capital One, which I don't remember even. If you asked me, I would take a lot for me to remember that I even worked there. It was such a blip in my life. But it was an important blip in my life to understand that that company wasn't a humanitarian company. That wasn't what that was about. And I am a humanitarian after all. So if I can align myself even more fully with not just the way I behave in my small circle, social circle, family circle, community circle, but in the larger way that my energies interact with the world, I might be facilitating the kind of world that I dream of. That's actually quite specific. I didn't think it was going to get that specific. So when we let go of these aspirations, we need to, in some ways, also release our attachment and maybe even resentment that those things won't happen that way. Like if I thought I was going to make a living as an artist, and I'm not saying that I can't, but if I thought I was going to do it in that old way, I may have to also let go of resentments about how that's not happening the way I imagined it could. Because I was imagining that it could based on the way I knew the world. And the world is shifting so much that it is time to release those so that we can, it's like a big clean out, so that we can fill that cupboard once again. Because the cupboard is like a lovely place to go and pull out a bit here and there. If you think about it like a resource, the way you might fill your cupboard in the summer with jams and canned goods so that you can have that resource later. We also do that with our hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And it's kind of a necessary way of functioning so that we can put something away for later knowing it's waiting for us. It's such a great feeling to have that fullness, that abundance around us, not just with the material goods, but with our own ways of functioning in the world. So it helps us. It helps us. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's like I can see the picture of it, that we do these things that sometimes feel unhelpful, but it's like, most of us have more clothes than we need these days. And, clothing in the world is such a problem, like clothing waste, material waste. And we want the clothes feel good, and then we can get overloaded. So this is like a big closet clear out with your aspirations. And I don't mean to like really even do anything, just symbolically let go of our attachments to the way we thought things might happen for us in future, and really try. This is me telling me, because this is what is really hard for me. Just stay here in this moment with the zinnias and the monarchs and the crickets making their sound. And this season now, which is a big turning, we can really feel it here in Maine. We're really turning towards the fall. And can we rest inside the abundance of this moment without having to, for now, be stressed or sense that overload of what must be done as we prepare for next seasons, spiritually, symbolically, and in the real physical world that we exist in. I'm thinking like, I gotta stack my firewood. Not ready. So today I don't have to do that. Even though that is coming, I can let that rest. And the idea is let it rest. Take a moment to experience this now, because there is going to be a lot of doing in our future. And that doing really, we have the opportunity to align it with our purpose more than ever. And so that feels, I can feel myself being a little bit energized by that thought. And at the same time, I want to come back in and say, also sit tight and try to relax. Like I want to put like a cocoon of clay around us to hold tight and just stay safe for a moment, just a moment of cocooning yet. Yeah. Don't go out with your soft caterpillar body. Stay safe right now. And just remember that right now is the time to feel the formings of aspirations based on what we know to be true in our heart. And that can't be formed from an outside perspective. So we're doing that same thing I've been talking about for a very long time now, of involution, where what I know to be true in my heart, now I hold that as the most important perspective and then release it to the world. And I think most of us, or many of us, or certainly me, was doing that in the opposite direction, where I was looking for something in the world that might match close enough to my heart's knowing. And then I would put that in the cupboard and hope. And now I need to hold what's true in my heart that aligns with my passion drive, my desirous creative drive, and hold that, even if it might not match the outside quite yet, and nurture that. And also put that in my cupboard and say, I will wait until there is a resonance in the world to release that again into the world, or bring that close to my heart and work on that project, to say. I just need to take a breath. We're going to go right over to the Oracle. So, dear Oracle, what would you have us know about this moment now? And the hexagram that we get is hexagram 14, great possession. I see that as treasure. I don't know if, hold on, let me look. Sometimes I've read this as possession in great measure. This one translation calls it sovereignty, which, boy, do I love. It's such a positive reading. Because of a stroke of good fortune, you will meet with supreme success. At few times do you possess more. So this is maybe why I think of it as treasure. Another reading is prosperity. Wealth comes with the responsibility to respect it as a valuable resource and to use it wisely. I think it's funny that this goes back to my experience with Capital One and what wealth was. Wealth was other people's debt, which doesn't align with integrity. That isn't what wealth is. And so now when we think about wealth is holding on to that internal treasure and knowing it to be true, even when you don't find an aligned place to place it in the world. You can hold it in your heart until it's ready for the world. So I'll say that again. Wealth comes with the responsibility to respect it as a valuable resource and to use it wisely. Good fortune for one can increase well-being for many others when it is shared, not hoarded, and used creatively. Prosperity has a radiance that is attractive in a variety of ways and can create positive or negative effects on a grand scale. Its influence can be nourishing, supportive, and intelligent, or, as we have seen in the world, on the other hand, self-absorbed, self-indulgent, and small-minded. Wealth can be a support for meeting our highest aspirations, yes, or our deepest greed, also a word that came up for us earlier. As a goal in itself, it is empty. It is a means to an end. It is potent and empowering. A goal in itself. Oh, so if wealth is the goal, it's empty. If wealth is the means to an end, it's potent and empowering. And I think this is like a giant mistake that we've all been experiencing. Like having wealth itself is nothing, but wealth as a way of channeling energy through the world is potent, empowering. Okay. We get two changing lines that I think I want to mention right now. This one says, line 2, it's a rare intelligence that knows what to do with abundance when it comes your way, so that you can maximize the situation and make it work for you. Use the opportunity to be as creative as you know how to be, and don't be timid about trying out new things you've never had the opportunity to do before. So when you stick with your creative juices, and opportunities come your way, you simply apply that creativity to the opportunity in front of you. Even if it's a mundane opportunity that you don't see as a giant opportunity, but there's a new friend that comes into your life, say, and you're like, I don't know, but you could apply your creativity in that direction. Maybe if you can stay with yourself and don't abandon yourself in this, like you're not going to stay up for 48 hours working on this person's problems. But if you can apply your particular brand of creativity I'm sorry to use the word brand, your particular unique creative patternings with that person with good boundaries, the ones that make you sleep well at night, that is a new opportunity for you and for me and for us. That's like trying out new things. So sometimes wealth comes in and expands the way that we work in the world. And I think this is saying, be open to that. Be open to the possibility that you can be expanded. Like if you're just having a regular conversation with your friend, and then a microphone comes into the conversation, and you can keep talking. You don't have to change the way you're talking. You can just let it be expanded a little bit. We also get line 4, which is important to remember, that wealth isn't what we think it is. So it says, even if the coins are not jingling in your own private pockets, remember that existence is always generous enough to include you too. Don't squander the opportunity to pick and choose from the abundant resources that are available to you now, just because you're too busy envying somebody's new tailor-made suit. Yes, so sometimes we see abundance in somebody's new tailor-made suit, for example, and we are not, and that's all we can see, is like we're blind to that being the only expression of abundance. And then we become blind to the fact that right now there are hundreds of ripe blackberries right outside the studio door. That's abundance, and that's specific, time-specific abundance. Yeah, staying open to everything. And it moves to hexagram 22, which is beauty. How can you make the essence visible to others? What do you choose to communicate? This is about natural beauty, like the beauty of a plant, whose form is the perfect, simple expression of its nature. That's what I wish for, to be a human being, that I experience the perfect, simple expression of my own nature without conditions. It's also about the way people create images to communicate something of a person's or thing's inner nature, so that creativity, that when we're drawn to make something, to express the almost inexpressible, to make the invisible visible, that is an impossible task, but it's something that we still have the desire to do, to take the picture of the sunset or the beautiful flower. And it's worthy. It's worth doing. Oh, right. This becomes a fruitful way to engage with the world when you have a purpose in mind. This hexagram sometimes is known as grace. When I see 22, I think grace. Learn simply to greet beauty when it comes, to reflect upon it and become one with it, with no demands or expectations. Contemplate beauty and grace and allow it to infuse your life. You will be beautified by it. And an aesthetic sense will naturally arise in you. Recognize that beauty is fleeting. Meditate on the transitoriness of all things, which will kindle in you the desire to be aware in every moment and to give life's beauty some form of expression. This moment is an invitation to shine and give of your best graciously and wholeheartedly. Let your model be Mother Nature, whose elegance and generosity knows no bounds, and whose capacity to beautify is never less than perfect. The beauty of nature is love. That one's from the Tao Oracle, Ma Deva Padma, that translation. And that is the hexagram that we're moving to. So right now, simply resting in a sense of great possession of your own creative jewel. It's like I want to hold it preciously inside and carefully. And so that leads us into an expression of that. But right now we hold it, especially today, we hold it and we nurture that and we feel it in a way that, that aspiration word makes me think of breathing, of course, the inspiration, aspiration. And aspiration comes from the Latin aspiratio, meaning a breathing upon or exhalation. So isn't that interesting to think about inspiration in coming in and meeting with our being, and exhalation as an aspiration, what we do with that. I kind of love that idea because the breathing is such an intimate relationship with being alive, in and out. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for being here, for listening once again. You can reach out to me at my website, www.annheadley.com, or find this podcast on Substack. I will leave the link in the show notes. May you be well. May you know peace. And may all beings everywhere, whether known to me and us or not, may they be well, and may they know peace. Bye for now.